Hello, my name is Jamie Burchell, and you are listening to and or watching our podcast called Wormhole Pinball Presents. And today I am joined by one of my co-hosts, Aaron Winnick Anthony, excuse me, virtually from the other side of Houston, and from a little bit further away, joining us all the way from Auckland, New Zealand, Danny Peck. How are you, ladies?
Doing
Oh, I'm
good.
great. I'm just so excited to be here with y'all because I miss Texas, man. It was my favorite place I think that we went. It was so fun and so nice. And Bucky's was there, so how could I not love it?
Oh, you got the milestone. You did all of Texas then. You got Bucky's and you got TPF, I know. So perfect. What more could you want?
And you
Exactly.
were, and it was so awesome because Aaron was on doing the stream, and I was just there moving the rig, and so we both got to watch you come back and win on Metallica at the Texas Takedown. That was amazing.
It's one of the craziest things I think I've ever done in my entire life. And it even makes me emotional to think about because I was there and I was, even though I'd done okay on Whirlwind, I still felt a bit down and I was like, oh, what am I doing? Because that spin out game was so hard, man.
Yeah.
I know the guy who owns that game and thanks for bringing it, but oh, what a tough game to play. Damn, no, that Metallica game, Bob Matthews came up and sat with me and he just talked to me and he was just like, when I was playing it, you can just come back on the last ball and you can totally do this. And my dad even came up at the end and he was like, you can do this too for the last ball. You just got to get some orbits or something and then just keep going. And so I kept pushing and I did it. And it's just still melts my brain to think
Oh, you
that it
rocked it. It
happened.
was it was so fun to see in person.
And if anyone ever wants to go see that, just go to their YouTube and Wormhole Pinball, and you'll find it. You'll find the Texas Takedown, and Donovan did a good job breaking that up, and you'll see just an incredible ball three
Yeah.
from many of the women that played, and the emotion after it was really amazing. We were going to talk about it later, but we'll get it out of
Yeah.
the open now because it really was special. And okay, with three of us, I thought Aaron and I would kind of alternate questions for you, Danny, if that's okay.
Sounds good.
These interviews are very informal, so let's just get to it. I kind of like to start with origin stories. You're kind of young, so it's not going to be a very long story of how and when you discovered pinball. But how'd you get into this?
So I like to say I was sort of born into it. I was born and then I started playing as soon as I was born. So my dad's been collecting games here and there since he was 18. He bought one from off of a local fish and chip shop and kept it in the house. And so he's always been into it and just, yeah, I was born. We had a few down in the basement and it's ballooned over the years. Used to play for fun as a toddler and then we had about, oh gosh, I can't remember, 60 or 80. And then we started having tournaments around the time I was 10 or 11. So I've been playing competitively for about 11 years now, which is pretty crazy to say. But we're here.
Do you remember your first pinball tournament?
Oh gosh, yes. It was okay, in Auckland, we don't really have like barcades or anything like that, or like, even just arcades with more than a few games. So it's always in people's houses and people's private collections. And I remember just going over to this person's house, and I think I got a few games, and then I just totally failed on Creature from the Black Lagoon, and I was so sad. I was like, "Damn it!" Because I'm a competitive little child, so I was very upset. But I must have loved it because it kept coming back.
I love that you even remember the first game you ever lost out of like that scarring experience. You're like, now have you tried to like, is that now your game? You're like, I always have to do good on Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Well, we have one now and we use it in our
Okay.
super secret pinball club tournaments. And I can tell you, I still suck at it some days, but I'm definitely a lot better at it now. I think I've refined and honed the skills on it over the years. And Move Your
Yeah,
Car is my
I
favorite game.
literally just moved the car. That's all I do
Hey,
on that game. I move
Oh,
cars.
so
yes.
What do
good.
you do on Creature of the Black Lagoon, Jamie? I move cars.
Yeah.
And I'm not getting a strike either because I'm going to move so many cars.
So many cars.
Go ahead, Aaron. I'm
I
sorry.
love it. No, all good. Well, so now we talked about that. Now we have to talk, what was your first win, that first big tournament win?
So the one that for me that was super defining was going to Indisc in 2018, so early 2018, and winning the women's tournament there was probably the moment that I thought I'm really in it to like go all the way. I'd been to a few world championships before, and I'd actually won the original Texas Women's Championship a few months before I'd won that Indisc win.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, we're sort of moving from I'm doing this pinball thing and I'm somewhat okay to it too. I'm actually studying the rules really hard out and I'm really passionate about that side of things now. So super interesting. And I think that coincided with like Batman 66 and Aerosmith coming out and those two games. I was just obsessed with the rules, still am.
Okay.
So yeah, really, really getting deep into that side of things.
Cool. Well, speaking of big wins, you had an incredible March. You won the IFPA Women's World Championship. I had a blast watching on Twitch and cheering everyone on. So, can you walk us a little bit through what that format was like and how qualifying worked for it?
Okay, so just off the top of my head, without reading it from a script,
Sure.
the first day was qualifying, and it basically runs just like your usual IFPA World Championship now. They've changed the format, so you get a full day of qualifying. I believe it's 6 or 8 rounds of. I can't remember the scoring. Am I allowed to pull it up? Am I allowed to be that detail oriented?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go. I know where the secrets are. Here we go. It's just I'm like very passionate about the detail here. So here
I
we
love
go.
it. No, get it right. Perfect.
Awesome.
Gotta get the fun. So you get the top 32 ranked female players come in, right? And you've got 8 rounds of I think it's 7-5-3-1 scoring. I was trying to find that. Yeah, there it is. 7-5-3-1 scoring. And here's something controversial. I'm a big 7-5-3-1 fan. I don't like 4-2-1-0 or any other scoring. I'm like 7-5-3-1 is my passion and I will die on this hill. So each round you get to play 3 games with 3 other women. And if you win the game, 7 points. Second, 5 points. Third, 3 points. Last, 1 point. And you better hope you get first and second on most of your games so that you can get in the top 16 to go through to finals the next day. And finals are super intense. They are a best of 7 format. So you are playing for a long time, head to head with somebody. You pick 3 games, 1 from each era of machine. The other person picks 3. And then if it comes down to the last game, the higher seed has their choice. So in the first round of qualifying, which the stream catches the end of, I had to pick the 7th game. I had a terrible first round. I was mentally like not prepared for finals that early in the morning.
Sure.
So I sort of was like in a Delulu land for a little bit, but then we went to the 7th game. I had to come back. My cheer dad was there behind me, supporting me, and he was like, "You can do this. Keep pushing." So I picked Ali, and I think that's when I was like, okay, we got through the first bit. Now where do we go? Keep going up until I got to the finals, and the finals is probably just, again, one of the craziest parts of my life. That last Congo game, just getting 1.5 billion, which was like, that's cool.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Zoe's, exactly. And then Zoe's just like, probably one of the most amazing balls of all time.
Yeah.
Like, bar none. That was just amazing to see her come back and get 1.2, 1.3 billion is just like, wow. How does it get any better than seeing something like that? Real good.
Yeah. That was incredible. And I have to say, I love the level of pinball nerddom of picking 7-5-3-1 over 4-2-1-0. I'm like, I love it. It's incredible.
Can't help myself, I'm very passionate about these things, and even though New Zealand's small, our tournament scene is very, very passionate. So I think that it's just a reflection of that.
Yeah.
All right, my turn. Do you know your current ranking? Are you? Because I know my current ranking is really bad, but do you know your current ranking?
I can look it up.
No. I
This
just
is
wanted to know if you knew
not
it
off, actually
by
not off the
heart.
top of my head. I know off the top of my head I'm fourth in New Zealand, and the last time I checked, I think I was eighth woman in the open standings. But in the women's so there's different standings for women's, and there
Explain
was some
that to us,
contention
because
about
I've got
this.
your numbers right here, but you are 11th in the
Oh,
women's
okay, you
pro.
got it. Yeah.
11th in the women's pro. You're 17th in women's and 360th in the open. But can you
Overall.
explain the difference between pro and women's?
Yeah, of course. So, there's so much that goes into it these days. So,
Yeah.
So the women's section of the site and like tournament section is for women's only tournaments, and that is to support women being able to like get in the pinball and be in supportive environments to develop their skills, right? And it's a safe space. For example, in Auckland, if you want to go to a tournament, you go into some random man's house, and that sounds very weird for some women. So, women's only tournaments, that's a great safe space. Admittedly, I have been very bad as Bells and Chimes ambassador. We have not run them for ages, but per se. So that's the women's side, and then the open side is just your points ranking. What points are you getting from what tournament? Obviously, if you place first, you're getting way more points than if you place even like fourth or fifth. And admittedly, my ranking's been slipping because I haven't been traveling as much. But I'm telling you, after going to America, I'm back in the game, baby. I'll be back.
Yes, you are.
And then pro is different as well. My understanding of the pro rankings is that they're there for the elites, and I don't even think I'm on the official pro section of the website because my ranking's so bad after my university years and COVID years of sort of not doing so hot at the tournaments. But again, we're back in it. I'm back in it to win it, so hopefully improve that over the coming months.
Well, I don't know. You're doing incredible already. So sure, you got to go up those rankings, but I don't know. I feel like you're on the top of your game right now. And on that note, Jamie and I were two tournament players. We're both decent, but looking to improve our skills. What advice do you have for players that are going from playing, even trying to get that first tournament win and, bringing you to like that higher level of competition?
Oh, yeah, that's a question I get sometimes, and I'm like, there's so many ways to dice the onion. But for me, it's just like, I actually think a lot of it is keeping your nerve and like having that psychological edge. Because definitely, like, if I'm thinking back to first round of women's finals playing against Valencia, I'm like, man, for the first half of that, my mind was so gone, and I'm like, pull it back together. If you can like keep that anxiety at bay so that you can make sure that you're hitting the shots that you can shoot, I think that that's a big thing. And that's even where like the first tournament wins is. It's just being like, I can do this. I believe in my skill, and I can persevere and keep going and never lose the fight, even if you're going up against like best person in your town. Like, just know that like you can do it. Give it your best shot and see how it goes.
I love that.
I want to follow up with that real quick.
Yeah.
Because last night we had league, all right, and I had Wesley Johnson, who's a pretty good player in the Houston area, and then Fred Revenue, another very good player, and then another good player. So my group was full of people that were much, much better than me, and my nerves got to me. They really, really did last night. And then the last ball on Star Wars, I put up $1 billion finally.
Ooh.
And I snuck a second out of out of Wesley. And you're right. How do you do the nerves though? I mean, how do you? Because I go on walks. Some people listen to music like Aaron does. What do you do? Do you listen to music? Do you take pep talks? Do you remember the shots, or you just walk away?
It's a lot of it. I remember back. There's a lot of I remember in this. I'm so sorry, but that's okay.
Right.
I
You're
remember
fine.
back there. Oh my gosh, it must have been 2018, 2019 when they had IFPA and Papa at the same time. No, I think it was 2018, and I sat with Bo and Cairns. Sorry, this is very name droppy as well. I'm very
Please.
offensive. Yeah.
Go for it.
No,
But I
we
said,
both know Bo very well.
oh, I was just getting, I was getting a bit upsetties and I wasn't doing so well and I was so stressed out. And he was like, it's not about their score. So just like, don't look at their score. Take your glasses off. Don't look at their score and just go up and do your best. And that has really stuck with me because like it's so true. Like, yeah, you got it. There is some level of comparison there, but like as long as you know you've played your best game that you could have done in that moment, then don't live with that like remorse, because it's easy to start for a long time. Like I was building that sense of like, I don't know, shame around like, oh, well, I lost this, so I can't do it again. Almost have that superstition. And it's like, it's all rubbish. It's all, at the end of the day, you're there to play the game in that moment. So all of that preloaded junk can just go. I think it helps as well that I'm like a psychology graduate, so I sort of know a lot about systems and the background info behind it. But yeah, a lot of it's just practice as well. I mean, I've been really lucky to have had some really good like personal development opportunities in the past year to really also learn about how to manage the nerves and keep pursuing even when things feel difficult. So yeah, 100%.
I love
Awesome.
it.
I
Yeah.
absolutely love that. And in the States, that would have cost $50 for a therapy appointment. So I appreciate it. So
There you go.
I'm going to demo that.
Can confirm.
Yeah. And see, now when I'm in that moment, I'll be like, you know what? I'm going to think of Danny. That's where I'm going to go back to. I'm going to go to that good mental spot. Think of that advice. That's what's going to get me through. So just know if I win my next one, I'll dedicate that one to you there. So
Another top secret is that sorry to jump back in.
Please.
Starbucks is my holy grail for caffeine enrichment during tournaments, and I feel very privileged to have had Starbucks to back me up with their matcha lattes in the middle of Indiana when I needed them. So thank you, Starbucks, for your matchas.
And they can send the $50 to you directly.
There you go.
there you go.
As an advertisement for Starbucks. So there you go. I was thinking, Erin, why don't you ask her about the pinball scene? Is that okay?
Sure. Yeah. So, we're very versed in Houston, Texas pinball. Now that you've seen that a little bit, I'd love to know, how New Zealand compares and like, what are the leagues, the tournaments? Like if we were coming to New Zealand for a pinball tour, where would you take us?
Oh, that's a good question. So to put it into context, I think what's the population of Houston at the minute and like Dallas? Probably a few million.
Yeah, Houston's got 6.5, 7 million. And Dallas is a little less.
That's crazy. So to put that in context then, New Zealand as the whole country has about 5 million people. So very, very different vibes. Auckland has about 2 million people now, I think. Our pinball community, as I said, in Auckland is very much based in people's private locations, their houses. Doesn't mean we're any less competitive, but I definitely think that it is more social still, whereas when you go to a lot of those leagues in America, it's very serious and intense, which is very, very nice in its way, but it's always intimidating going from, the family environment that we usually have here. We've spent a lot of time making sure that it's a safe space for families and like women, to a very intense, like, come to the bar. We are here to slay this. It's like, whoa, New Zealanders are so laid back. I'm like, damn, this is heated. But yeah, it's very, very much more relaxed. We only have big monthly 3 strikes tournaments here, and then a super secret pinball, one day once a month as well. So basically 2 tournaments a month versus some of those places that have leagues like 3 times a week, which I very much respect. And sometimes I'm thinking, do I want to move to America and just have that much pinball practice? I'm not going to lie. I think about it sometimes. But if you were coming to New Zealand, I would automatically say come to our house. I can't help it. We have a
Okay.
few tournaments here in Pukekohe, Auckland, every year. We have this System 11 World Championships. I'd say that's the one you really want to hit. We've got 100 machines here, but there's a
Wow.
nice focus
Whew.
on qualifying and finals on System 11s during System 11s. Have some side comps on all the other games. It's always a fun weekend. We have some Australians come over. We used to have international people come over. So welcoming them back. If any international people would love to come over and support us. It's Labour weekend here. Don't know when it is. I think it's October. So feel free to come along. But if we weren't doing Auckland, or you had some more time, vacation time, I'd take you down to Wellington, because Wellington, that's the capital of New Zealand, and they have a couple of really, really good public locations, and their tournament scene is so rich and diverse and just like beyond passionate, and the people who run the tournaments down there are just amazing. And beyond that, Hawke's Bay has a nice regional hub of pinball, and the Dipper family who are there are just some of the most amazing people you will ever meet. They went to the World Champs in Germany last year, and just fantastic showing, fantastic people. And then Christchurch is the last big hub, and Christchurch is just they have such interesting characters, and I love them all so much. And I feel like everyone who meets the Christchurch crew, they just feel like they are welcomed home into family, and I love that.
Oh, that's fantastic.
What was the first pin that you guys bought? You said it earlier, but I was just curious.
So I think off the top of my head, I think my dad's first game when he was 18 was something like a Solar City, like an old EM kind of thing. But the first one I remember playing as a kid that we had was Rocking Bullwinkle. So that, that's moving a bit further in the pinball collecting career. But we also had things like, I remember having a Judge Dredd around, and a few of those, 90s Bally Williams sort of era games. And yeah, oh my goodness.
Those are my favorite.
So good.
Yeah,
I
100%.
I geek out on them, and anyone that wants to talk to me about World Cup soccer, I'll spend an hour with you. So that's my right.
It's so good, right?
Yeah.
I think it's one of the best like tournament games ever. And because we have one, and I've been playing it recently to sort of just like hone in my skills, because if you don't shoot something correctly on R1, it'll just punch you in the face and be like, no more ball for you. And I'm just like, how good is that game for tournament? I think that game is like, it separates the boys from the men, because like you gotta know what you're doing.
I honestly,
That's very true.
We put ours in the Space City Open, my World Cup soccer, and I watched Steve Bowden beat Germany on ball one, and I'm just like, well, this person's just on a different planet than I am, and it was just a complete separation. Sorry, anyone that listens knows that I love World Cup soccer, and
it's a great game.
An absolute interview, Aaron. I will always take a 20-second timeout for World Cup soccer. All right.
Important. Yeah, you'll have your commercial break for World Cup soccer, and then you'll go back. Some people are sponsored by someone. You're sponsored by World Cup soccer from the 1990s.
Because
so,
I only own one machine.
Yeah.
Right. I technically only own one machine that is at the wormhole that comes through, and that is World Cup soccer. Because I have best friends named Tim and John, I don't really need to buy machines, Aaron. So
yeah, for sure.
That makes sense. Okay, your turn, Aaron. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, speaking of your father, I know he designed and built the homebrew Motorhead that was at TPF. So incredible. I think it had some of the longest lines at TPF for anything. Like, wow, so cool. Did you have any involvement with the design or build? And like, how much have you played that game?
Honestly, this is so embarrassing to say. I feel like I did nothing in terms of that game. But I think that almost makes it better, because it really was my dad's baby and creation. Like, everything that people saw and played was theirs. Was his, right? Mm-hmm. And it's just like, wow, how cool is it that he can make something in his garage and fly it over, and to be so celebrated. And I was so excited for him that got to happen, because he, before Motorhead, had done the Led Zeppelin game, which was an old Bally Freedom rethemed, with a few little modifications. And people were so curious about that. But to have Motorhead, which is totally next level, totally from scratch, and to be celebrated is just like, yeah, fantastic. And thanks to everybody who, showed up for it and supported it. So fun.
Yeah. So how much have you played it? I have to know.
Oh, yeah. So in terms of playing it, barely at all. I remember playing it at Whitewood Stage a little bit, because he was like, I want your input. And I'm like, I've got no input. It's fine. And it turns out that it pretty much was fine, right? Like, it seems like it's gone down, really well. And people are very, very curious about where the Motorhead game lies, like what's going to happen next with it. And to be honest, I don't know what that looks like. But Brad Albright, the designer for the art, does have prints available. So support the artists. Thank you, Brad Albright.
Love it. Well, to pivot a little bit, I have to talk about the other big pinball thing in your life. I know you officially joined the Spooky Crew recently. Can you talk a little bit about what your role is there and what you're doing with them?
Yeah, so mainly for me at the moment, it's looking at that content creation piece, just doing some tutorials, especially for their games. Alice Cooper Nightmare Castle, the tutorial's coming soon, so keep your eyes peeled. But yeah, I do the Danny Teaches series on Bugs Stream and Scream. You can check it out on YouTube. And it's just to have fun and like teach a little bit about pinball in some like plain language, because like if someone's walking up to, for example, Foo Fighters, this is just the one off the top of my head, and it's like, oh, you need to shoot the Overlord and then you need to shoot the UFO and blah blah blah, like what does that actually mean? Like no one knows what you're talking about. So how can you put it into like plain language and just do some simple rule sets? Because that's the other thing about like playing in tournaments, is I think it's easy to go overboard with your rule set to the point where it overwhelms and clouds the gameplay. Because most games, if you just stay consistent and do the main things, you can win. Mm-hmm. You don't have to bring in a 10x multiplier and do like the perfect game every time in tournament to win. And I think that's what I really want to bring to the table with Danny Teaches. In terms of other things I'm doing with Spooky, you'll have to keep your eyes peeled.
Okay, fair enough.
Some exciting stuff's coming.
So would you ever be interested in designing your own pinball machine?
I don't think I have the brain for that. Seeing what Dad did and the process of designing one, I honestly think, to put it plainly, I think I'm too stupid. I don't have the engineering guts to put it together in my head. I'm not. I have some level of like, I know when things don't feel the best, but I'm not like a creative mind of like, let me engineer a whole thing and put together. My starting point that I want to do is learn how to fix them. And like if something happens to them, okay, I know what to do. I could be like a tech with them, right? Because I'm definitely not even at that level yet. Like I can do very simple clean them ups, put the switch back in place type of thing. But I want to be able to like, okay, the reels aren't working on player 3 on Old Chicago. Let's fix it. That's where I want to be at.
Erin just started doing a series.
We at one of our local arcades here, they just started doing some repair classes, and they did. Nice. I took an EM repair class, which was really fun and kind of a cool starting point. And now they're just starting a solid state repair class now too. So I have my first machine that I just got like a few months ago. So I'm enjoying getting into that repair world a little bit. I agree. I don't think I'm at that design level yet, but I'll start here and maybe work my way up to the design homebrew level.
And we're going to
I love that. That's so amazing.
We're going to be doing something very interesting here. This is a nice little segue for what Emoto with Marco Specialties is starting a Marco TV brand where she's going to be dropping in on people's arcades and doing techs with them. And we're going to set up something with Emoto on a Wednesday. So Wednesday is our tech night here at the Wormhole. and we have 23 pins here. We have a collection for those that are new to us of close to 200 plus pins that we rotate in and out of the wormhole. And this is our public place that we have tournaments. And these machines get banged on. So we have a list of grievances. And on Wednesdays, people come and fix these particular machines. And we're going to stream that. And I think it's going to be really cool. On the perspective for the techs, GNR just came here. They just did a flipper rebuild on that. That would have been cool to do. So it's just stuff that we're thinking about.
Love that.
Amazing.
My last question right here, I think, is we need more women in pinball. So how do we make that happen?
Let me think about the answer before
Please.
I get it.
Yeah, it's a big question. I know.
I know. I just went in.
Yeah.
I just hammered you with it. Sorry about that.
No, I love it. I love it. I think about it a lot, and I think it is like region dependent. And I think that like the New Zealand context and how we, involve women is very different from what it would look like in the States, just as like a basic example. Because Auckland's funny. I think my big thing for Auckland and how I could see Auckland growing, especially in the women's space, is figuring out how we can, create a public space for pinball and host things publicly and, bring people in through that. Because, for example, in Wellington, where there is lots of public pinball, they host their Bells and Chimes tournaments there, and they have a thriving female pinballer community, and it's amazing. I've been to a few Bells and Chimes tournaments there, and it's just seriously the most warm, inviting, fantastic thing. And you see these new people come along, and it's such a supportive environment that they come back. And it's about having that. So have the Bells and Chimes, let the women start off with other women and be in that environment where we can build each other up and support ourselves to, get to the best we can be, and then go from there. Get that core base of people who are interested in it and are going to come back, even if it's just for the social environment, and then build from there. And I mean that probably applies across all cultural contexts in saying that. So, but especially for New Zealand, I think it's finding more public spaces where we can have that sort of launch pad, because it's different vibes when it's at someone's house, I think.
Sure.
Yeah.
At the end of the
a safe
day.
place, right? You need a safe place.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll add, I think that having people like you doing these streams and things like that and being those, public faces for pinball is so fantastic. It encourages more people to see that this is a thing that they can go do too. I've had people, because I post pinball videos, reach out to me, my friends that are like, hey, what is this? And a few of them, they're even nervous to come to a tournament, and they messaged me, and I took them both to an arcade last week on a non-tournament day. And I think I might've roped 2 more women into coming. So
Awesome.
We'll see. I think it's like, some of that word of mouth and having those people out there that are someone could reach out to you and be like, hey, what is this? And gives them that access and makes it not seem as intimidating. So thanks for going out and doing all of that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And yeah, it just I feel very, very grateful to be able to be like a voice in the space. I'm not even necessarily a big voice in the space, but I'm just glad to be able to have a platform. And thanks to Spooky for allowing me to have that platform, because it's been invaluable.
Yeah.
So here's the therapist advice for you now. I'm going to take the $50 back, right? I'm going to kick it right back. We'll cut this part out real quick, probably, but you do what I do, and I call this podcast stupid when I refer to it to people on the side. I go, hey, I got this stupid podcast to do, but you know what? It's not stupid what we're trying to do here. And you're doing that, what I'm not good enough type of thing that you just said there.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. You're a voice in this hobby, and we need people like you, and we need you. You're an unbelievable player who happens to be a woman, and God bless you for what you're doing. I really mean it, man.
Yeah. And your energy is amazing. I feel like it's infectious for the people around you, and that excitement of people being able to feel that. It's not like a dart. Like, there could be a negative vibe around pinball sometimes. You have the most positive vibe around that, and I love to see that.
Oh my God. I met Danny. For people that know me, I'm pretty chatty person. And I was sitting there watching the stream because TPF is crazy for us, for me particularly, because we stream the classics, wizards, and the women's. But I get a break in the women's because Erin takes over and I get to tag team my partner here. So I promised I would be her rig mover, and I'm just a producer there if anything breaks. So I got to watch you and I got to talk to you, and you were amazing. And you were so friendly to me. You didn't know me from Adam, and you just anyway. Well, we could cut that part out, but I think
Oh
you're
no, because I wanna actually talk about that and talk about that point on sort of a serious note, because I think it's actually really interesting.
Mhm.
Is something that people don't understand who live in America is that in New Zealand we have a tall poppy so we have a tall poppy culture, and what that means is that if someone's doing too well, we cut them down. So,
Mm.
for example, if
oh,
you know Law, the big musician, like soon as she started getting big and doing like big things and moving abroad, like that's when people cut them down. And although the pinball community is a lot less like that, that's definitely where I come from. So it's I experience still to this day, even though I'm a lot better at it now, you know, a lot of that imposter syndrome of like, I am not good enough and I'll never be good enough. And I think that like if you do feel that way, if people do feel that way, it's actually like a good thing to like address. Look at resources for things like imposter syndrome. And I've got this book. It's called something like "You're a Badass" and stuff like that. Because like
yeah, because you are.
it's a legit thing, you know? Yeah, and even when you say things, even when people say things like you just did about like you're so nice. I've spent so many years not believing that it still
Yeah.
hits me like real
Yeah.
hard in the emotions, because I'm like, damn, but like better start believing it. You know what I mean?
No, it's okay. I'm
So,
sorry. I'm the
yeah.
dad, right? Okay.
I love it. I love it.
And I had to assume that role a little bit there, and I apologize for the podcast for everyone. But I'm just looking at this sweetheart of a person, and I'm saying, she's amazing, and she needed to hear it today.
So hey, Wormhole, we keep it real. We're not just going to talk about the surface level stuff. We're going to go deep here, and I love
Sorry,
it. So
I can't help it. Again, I'm a psychology graduate. We can't help it. That's just where we sit, right?
this is perfect.
I love it. But
all right,
honestly,
it's Erin's
being
turn.
back in America, I just want to talk one more thing
Okay,
about
please.
like,
Yeah,
being
yeah,
back in America.
please.
Like, I was so nervous coming back to America because I was like, it's been 4 years, 5 years, and I'm just this nobody. And coming back and having people remember me, and especially being remembered like predominantly fondly, was actually like so emotionally moving for me, because I'm just like, because I've had people in the New Zealand scene going back to this. Sorry, this is so deep. I've decided
Please.
to go there.
I love it.
You know, I had people in the local scene come up to me and tell me it's not fun when you play in tournaments. It actually like ruins my day because it means that I know I'm not going to win. And because I was a child, I was like, 15, 16, 17 when I heard this, that totally changed my perspective on shit. Per se. Sorry,
It
sorry for
doesn't-
my French.
No. Well, we don't know if they might be saying it like a joke, but that's not a joke,
Yeah.
right? They don't,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the thing. Not only women, right? I'm very passionate about how do we bring kids into the hobby. And this is
Yes.
another serious topic I just want to cover off as well, just
Please.
what's on my mind. If you've got kids in the scene, treat them like they were your kid and treat them nice. Because like, yeah, even if you are joking when you say shit like it's not fun when you play, that's actually like they don't necessarily have like the thick skin needed to like absorb that and say that doesn't mean anything. That was so like, and if you've got like especially like young girls, like make sure that they're being treated right, make sure that they are safe, and make sure that just ensure that the kids are safe around
Yes.
all these strangers, because stranger danger is still legit.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I have to say, I just have an example of that this past week where I play on my Tuesday tournaments with a number of kids and some younger girls. And this last week, one of them got 5th out of 15. And I think she's, I don't know, 11, 12. And I know some people in the background are grumbling because they're getting beat by an 11, 12-year-old girl. So I'm like trying to hype her up. I'm like, you're doing amazing. Look at you. And then she got out and I was like, you did amazing. We went and played a Fireball EM game afterwards. I'm like, you have to keep that going because there's enough of the people in the background. They're going to be grumbling about being beat by the kids. And you have to try to protect them a little bit from that.
And Erin, it's people like you that let me continue and persevere, because it's so easy to take that negative messaging
Yeah.
and to just turn it totally into that, like you're like some sort of bad person. And I felt like that for so long.
Mm.
So like, thank you for doing your part to like support and uplift the kids, because they deserve to be uplifted when they're doing well. And same for women as well. Because honestly, I've had some times where some guys get a bit pissy that they're getting beaten by a girl, like both gender and age factors. And it's like,
Yeah.
why can't everybody be uplifted if they have a good game? So
Totally.
thank you for uplifting, because that's awesome.
Absolutely. Well, Jamie, I don't know how much more time we have, but I'll end with one more.
Please.
I'll try to be on a fun, positive note here just to end it off on. All right.
Yeah.
The question that we all get asked, dream theme. And you don't have to design it because it sounds like that's not what exactly what you want to do. Dream theme for anyone to design, and who would you want to design it then?
Dream theme is always going to be Smokey and the Bandit, because I love that film, and honestly, my dad
Yay.
can design it. You know what? Let's just throw it out there and
I
be
love
totally
it.
wild, because I trust him with my life, and I trust him with my dream theme. So there you go.
What a sign of trust. I don't know if there is a bigger one. So
Very
you
true.
Do you want to ask a couple more questions, and then we're going to do something called rapid fire?
rapid fire. Yeah.
Okay. So two more questions real quick. Do you go back and watch your streams, like when you're on stream, to see kind of what mistakes you made or how you could get better? Or
Honestly, I don't normally, but I did after this tournament, because I actually felt like, okay, I psychologically was like, I am not an embarrassment. I got the demons out of my head, and I was like, I sat down and watched it, and it's actually stressful for me though, because I'm like, oh my gosh, don't do this, don't do that. And when I rewatch them, I twitch them like I'm nudging the machine in real time.
Aye.
Like, it's very visceral for me, but I watched it back with my dad, and my dad was so, again, uplifting and supportive, and he was just like, that was amazing, bro. And I was like, oh, thanks, bro. So yeah, no, I did rewatch them. And you did a great job at Texas, by the way. I loved rewatching that stream. That was fun to
Thanks.
rewatch.
I appreciate it.
She's the best. She's replacing me. I'm going to be completely another.
Absolutely not. It's the team here. Can't just be one person.
Okay, let's do rapid fire. Is that all right?
Yeah.
So one of my co-hosts, Donovan Wade, had some rapid fire questions for our last guests. And so we're going to go back and forth between me and Erin. Doesn't have to be long. It can be rapid fire. It can take longer. It doesn't really matter. It's just goofy. Okay. Erin's going to start off.
All right. You ready? First one,
Yeah.
Elwin or Pat Lawler?
Oh, Alwyn.
All right.
All day.
Marmite or Vegemite?
Vegemite, and if anyone disagrees, disgusting.
I love it.
Good.
Rugby or cricket?
Oh, cricket, controversial. Oh, rugby bores me. Continue.
The best pinball show.
Oh, Texas, come on. Come on. I love it.
Love it. You're saying the right thing for the right audience. Perfect. Action button, yes or no?
Yes, because it adds more versatility in the game, period.
Cool.
Awesome. Looney Tunes or Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Looney Tunes, purely on theme. I hate horror films. I'm sorry. I'm just
Don't be
not the crowd
sorry.
of Looney Tunes. It's cute.
I'm the one that made
I
you
love it.
answer it.
That's fine. All right. We're bringing it back to World Cup soccer again. Tougher scoop to hit, World Cup soccer or Godzilla?
Oh, World Cup soccer, come on. That's so hard to hit, bro. It's the
I
baby
know.
point system.
That's a layup. That's
Yeah.
a layup.
There you
All
go.
right. Tougher shot. Left ramp of Rick and Morty or the S in Chaos on Jurassic Park?
Oh, I'm sorry, it is Rick and Morty. It's so hard, especially when the coils have had a long day of hard work.
Fair.
But I still love it.
Pretty
Oh,
good.
great game.
All right, and we're gonna bring it to some New Zealand stuff now. Favorite New Zealand reality show: The Trader or The Real Housewives of Auckland?
The Trader, it's so good. Love it.
I read the premise of The Trader, Aaron. We're gonna
Yeah.
have to talk about this later and see if we can buy the rights for the United States.
Okay.
You got to do it. It's so good. Honestly, even better is Taskmaster. If you can find
Oh.
Taskmaster somewhere to watch, even better.
I'm an enormous Taskmaster fan and a Taskmaster, was it Australia fan? Or it's like yeah, love it.
So good.
So good.
So good.
All right, do you watch New Legends of Monkey? New Zealand's
What
number
is
one
that?
show.
No. No,
You
I
don't watch
don't.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't. I've just become a No, but I'll tell you what I do watch is actually I don't watch too much, but I have to highly recommend What We Do in the Shadows and all of the spin-offs.
Taika's the best. Yes, I'm an enormous
100%.
fan, and I've watched all of that. Excited for the last season. All right, what pin are you playing the most lately?
Honestly, Foo Fighters, because that's what I am winning for winning the Women's Worlds. So
Oh,
I'm like getting my practice up so that once I get my game, I can just nail a GC straight away, get to the wizard, and just complete the game. So
I love that you're pre-practicing for getting your game that you'll have the ability to practice on. That's incredible.
I didn't know if I heard that correctly.
Yeah.
But that's what she was
Yeah,
doing.
no, that is
Yeah.
legit. I'm pre-gaming my own game, and I want to make sure that I know how to set it up in all of its glory. So it'll be fun.
So what's the
Okay.
next game? Last question. What's the next game in your collection? What's the next game that either you or dad has to buy?
TCM. Actually, no joke, it's TCM. So
Okay.
I better start liking horror. I am so nervous, but it's a great game, so it'll be fine.
Okay, good.
Well, Danny, thank you so much for sitting on what we call a hot seat or whatever, rapid fire. It was really fun. We appreciate it. And thank you so much for sitting down with me and Aaron. Today, what a pleasure was. Where can people find you and your work and what you're doing with Spooky?
Honestly, Instagram, pinball.danny is my main account, and just check my stories. And I always update when I upload new Danny teachers, and there's just lots of fun, random day-to-day stuff. Otherwise, Danielle Peck on Facebook. If you can't find me, my handle's danielle.peck.3150, which is crazy to know, but there you go. Otherwise, Spooky Danny on all platforms, Spooky Danny NZ, actually, because someone had already stolen that name, which is very rude, actually. I needed that, but that's okay. So just Google me and I shall be found.
I love it.
I love it. Thank you so much. Anything
Thank
from you,
you.
Aaron? Do you want to?
No, thanks, and look forward to seeing you back in the US at some time in the future, or maybe we'll find our way out there for the pinball tour. We'll see.
Can't wait, and trust me, I'll be back. I actually won a spot into the IPA 19, so I'm back in California in about a month.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
All right, safe travels back out here.
Danny, thank you so much. Take care.
Bye.
Wow, that was fun.
That was super great. I love Danny is fantastic. I love talking to her in person and virtually. It's so great.
I'm sorry to be a dad, but I needed that for a minute, okay?
100%. Like I said, we're just giving free therapy here for Wormhole Pinball as well. I love it.
What'd you think of my script?
I think it was great. I threw in my few little edits and stuff, but it was super fun. I love throwing all the New Zealand questions in there too. So
We ham and egg it really well. In golf, they would call that a ham and egg. It means that when I'm off, you're on, and yada yada yada. So, hey, have you looked at the May calendar in Houston, Texas, for SpaceCityPinball.com?
insane. I think more than one tournament every day next week, something like that. Absolutely wild.
It's like a week of Whoppers without the official week of Whoppers.
Without the extra points. Yeah.
It really is exploding in Houston.
Yeah, I feel like I need to be playing pinball every day of the week, but I do have a life and have to do other things other than pinball sometimes.
You need to get Janine to be in the Bells and Chimes. Wouldn't that just make my life just be pinball all day, every day?
There you
that
go.
Would be
happy to have her.
And I think she'd be good. I really do. And speaking of good, she asked for World Cup soccer back in the house.
Oh, okay. There you go.
And that is the move, I think, Aaron. I think that's the move. Put World Cup back in the house, get her to fall back in love with it, and now we're playing bells and chimes.
There you go. I love
That's
it. You can't force your partner to do it. You just
I
slowly
know.
drip feed pinball into their life until suddenly they're playing pinball every week. I don't know. It just happens.
Well, I told you that was going to happen. I told Alex, I was like, "Oh, okay, you're just coming to the wormhole to hang out, huh? Sure, sure."
I know. And I told him I'm not going to pressure you. And now he's like literally either playing hockey or he's playing pinball, and there's no in between. So, yep.
It is hard to explain this community to someone that's not listening to this podcast of
Yeah.
what it does to you. And it really is a cult. I got a wonderful text from your husband professing his love for the cult
Yes.
and how crazy of a beautiful community we're lucky that we have here in Houston. And it sounds like she
Absolutely.
has it in Auckland. And I hope anyone that's listening has it by them. And if it's
Yes.
not, if it's toxic, fix it. You
Yeah.
know?
And come to Houston. We're
Yeah.
happy to have you. And there's plenty of pinball to go around.
Let's talk Space Camp real quick. How did
Yes.
that start? I mean, that was Elizabeth Jonet and Riley.
Yes. And, I think they were looking for what theme to do, and we are Houston. So Space Camp was it. Last year was the first annual Space Camp, and it went so well. We had, I think, about 35 women or something that came last year, and we have substantially more this year.
Yeah,
So
how many
Wormhole's going
do
to be
you
a
have?
full
Do you
house.
know?
It's in the 50s. I think it was 52 was the limit. I think
Okay.
so I think it's back in the
That's kind of 52
capacity.
limit for Wormhole.
Yeah. Exactly. And so, yeah, it'll be exactly the same as last year because it went so well. And even San Antonio comes in, the Bells and Chimes, and guests hosts a tournament here. They do the max match play on Saturday night, and they give out mission patches to everyone for achieving
my
scores on
gosh.
certain games and wins. We got our theming down pat. I tell you, women's tournaments do the theming right. We get the cool trophies, we get the cool decor.
You
Everyone dresses
do.
up.
We blew
It's
it
so
for this
fun.
weekend too because it's May the 4th for the 4X, and I didn't even put it out there. I totally
You
forgot.
still have a chance. Still got a couple days, but
It's
for us,
Thursday. You're right. You're right.
but yeah, super
how's it
excited for
going
it.
how's it going with Barrels?
Oh, great. Barrels is super fun. I help and share everything on social media. They're going to a bunch of events, so highlighting that when they're doing it. And yeah, there's a great video that we put out of some dogs getting terrified of the Goblin Topper when it was unboxed at
Oh,
someone's house.
That was really good.
It was very funny. So highly recommend going to look at that. I watched it many times, and yeah, I think it's the dog's name are like Arthur and Robin, and they're just growling at the goblins. It's great.
You're playing pretty solidly lately. Is there anything that you're working on in particular? That skill set that's kind of brought you to the next level?
Yeah,
'Cause
I
there's these
think
levels, right? Like, because I'm working on saving all I'm working on is saving.
Yeah, the nudging in the right directions and stuff.
Everything down the
Totally.
middle is killing me, Aaron.
Ugh, I know. And I think I'm trying to take nudging to the next level as like where I'm more on the verge of like tilting and like being able to push it a little more, especially at Game Preserve NASA where I play a bunch. There's a lot of older machines. So like being able to like figure out how to learn the tilts on stuff to really take advantage of those resources. And then I did start practicing some alley passing, which I've never done before. So that's been
Ooh.
fun to kind of add in there.
On your machine.
Of that, and also just some of the Game Preserve machines, because
Okay,
there's
cool.
a lot of those older EMs and like early solid states that are good for practicing that. So that's
So-
been fun.
My last question for you is, when are you buying Congo?
Yeah, that's on Alex's, my husband's list, number
It's
one.
happening.
So the hard thing is, I think some other people in the Houston community also want Congo. So the
Well,
question
yeah.
is, I
His
don't
name
know
is
if we're.
Clint, and he lives pretty close to you.
Yes, I
He's
don't.
out of
I don't think we're
space,
getting
so-
it first. Yeah, I think.
He's-
That and also Gandalf's Arcade, I know, is looking to acquire one too. So there's some Congo competition around. I have a feeling
we
we're
want a
not first
Congo.
on the list. Yeah.
We want a Congo.
So for now, I'll
Um,
settle for playing it at my local arcade.
I
And then
saw your
one day.
eyes light up
Yeah,
when she was
I
talking
know.
about it. And you
Congo's the
just, that
best.
one's, it is the best. It
I
is a
mean-
really good machine.
I do have to say, a Wormhole made me fall in love with Baywatch as well, weirdly, which I could care less for the theme. I love the machine now too.
Yeah,
so
stupid-
that's up there.
Stupid TV show, pretty cool pinball machine.
Yep,
You know,
exactly.
Congo, bad movie. great pinball
Great
machine.
book. So yeah,
Oh yeah, I didn't.
we're Michael Crichton fans in this house.
Oh, you
so,
are. Okay.
Yeah,
That makes
we're
sense.
well, book nerds. What can you expect? So
All right, let me let you go. I've taken up enough of your time. In the last two
okay.
to 3 days, you've had enough of the wormhole. But it's been awesome, and we love you.
So good. Thanks for having me for a guest host. This was super fun.
Well, it went too well. Now you have to do it again.
Oh
So
no. All right. Sounds good. You're gonna twist my arm. So
please follow us on all the socials on Wormhole Pinball. You can find us all our public tournaments on that Space City calendar that you should go and look to see what we're doing in May because it's bananas. Information on renting the Wormhole as well. And to be added to our Discord channel, just email us at wormholepinball@gmail.com. Aaron, thanks for being my co-host today. That was wonderful.
absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, guys.